Well, good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Society. My name is Kelly Asprus Jackson, and I am one of the ministers here. Today, I am joined by the worship team of Linda Warren, Drew Collins, Stephen Gregorius, and Daniel Carnes. If you're visiting us today, welcome. We're so very glad that you are with us. And we hope that you will take the time to get to know us a little bit better, perhaps by getting some information from the welcome table, which is just out those doors and to the left in the Commons. I also hope that you'll stay and join us for coffee hour and a time of fellowship and conversation following today's service, also located in the Commons. For those connecting with us virtually today, we are glad that you are with us as well. We hope that you will be able to take a moment to see the announcement slides shown briefly after today's service to learn about upcoming programs and activities. And now, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence to center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time as we join together once again in community. We enter this sanctuary for kindness and comfort. May rough-worn hands and aching backs be healed. We enter this sanctuary of hope for equality. May those who labor to survive live to know justice. We enter this sanctuary of love and vocation. May our bonds of solidarity be strengthened. We enter this sanctuary of courage and friendship. May we proceed hand in hand toward freedom. And now I invite you to rise in all the ways that we do. And if you would join me, please, in the words on the screen for the kindling of our chalice. In recognition of Labor Day, we light this flame to honor all work, including the work of our hands and our backs, in gratitude for all the labors that support our world, and for all those who boldly continue the work of justice, equity, and peace.
And now let's sing together our opening hymn, number 157 in the Great Hymnal, Step by Step, the Longest March. We'll sing through 2 times. Step by step, the longest march can be won, can be won. Many stones can form an arch. Sing, lean on,
would like to invite forward anyone who would like to come forward at this time and join me up here for a little bit. Well, hi, Cleo. Thanks for coming up. I have a question to start us off with today. Let's find out if we have an answer. Who knows what a union is? Cleo.
It means kind of like a group of people.
A group of people? I mean, I think that that's fair just on its own, right? Because union's actually a pretty flexible word. But it turns out that what I'm actually asking about is a labor union, which is a specific type of group of people. So you still got the basic answer right. So here's my, oh, please, yes.
Is it like a group of people that work in the same job?
Yeah, so it's a group of people who work. And usually they work in the same job or the same sort of job or for the same boss. Although there are some exceptions to that. But here's my little explainer on a union. You see this stick? Have you ever broken a stick before?
Yes, I broke one this morning.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, I'm not really encouraging you to do it, but
I break a pencil.
right, it's like sort of like it's kind of satisfying, like right, that like makes a nice snapping noise.
From a tea place. I have a question. Can I tell you?
No comment. Yes.
So this morning, I lost my keys for my lock diary.
Okay.
And
You
so
lost
I
your keys.
picked my lock
Okay.
with a toothpick and it broke.
Oh.
Yeah, but then I found them.
You found the keys.
Can I have that toothpick for a second? I want to see if it's bamboo or wood. Yeah, can I
You
have
can.
half of it?
There you go. It turns out there's two, so you each get half. All right. Okay, so here, but there's a bunch, right? Second part of the demonstration. So one stick, I snap that one pretty easily, right? Whole mess of sticks, right? Right? No, nothing up my sleeves, nothing, at no point do any of the fingers on any of my hands leave my hand at all.
I think you got a fake thumb, maybe.
Oh, you think some? Okay, well, you can expect that after the service. Here's the takeaway, right? Try as I might, I can't break all of these sticks together. I could break them one at a time. I could go through it, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could break all of them individually, but all together like that, I can't break them. That's the idea of a labor union. It's people coming together, again, usually people who do the same job or work in the same field or have the same boss, and they come together so that they can't be broken individually. They're stronger together than they are apart. Now, here's my second question. Who knows what a strike is? Yeah? We got a guess over here?
Is strike like when you get all the pins down in a bowling alley?
When you get all the pins down at the bowling alley. Yeah, you know. Once again, you have found your way to a technically correct, the best kind of correct answer. Cleo, do you have another answer?
Yeah, is it like if you get hit in the head by something?
If you get hit in the head by something, well, that's also, yeah, that's a thing we can call a strike, and not unrelated to the type of strike I'm thinking about as well. So a strike, the term that I'm thinking of, so like, do you know how in a dictionary sometimes there's like 3 or 4 different answers to what does this word mean? Well, this is like, a few answers down in the dictionary. A labor strike is when people, maybe as part of a union, not necessarily, stop working. Oh, I'm sorry to disappoint you. They stop working in order to strengthen their argument for why they should get fairer pay or better protections on the job, have more safety where they work, have more security where they work, maybe get health insurance, that sort of thing. Yes, Cleo.
Or maybe because they don't like the food because their boss boiled all the foods in the world together and it melts the floor and they really don't like it.
So if your boss boils all the food together and melts the floor, I would agree that would be a thing worth striking over. I would support you in your labor action on that one.
I know we got at the store was like ingredients and it would be like a long sheet and then if you want an eagle to burn your floor.
Well, here's the thing. It turns out that bosses, I just want to tell you this, that bosses don't always do what's legal. That's part of the problem. So this story that I'm going to tell you is a very brief story, just a little anecdote, really. Yes?
Can I say something?
I'm sorry?
Can I say something? So my mom is going to have a bookstore, and she was, but then she rented the space, and she told the person, the realtor, not to rent it up to
Okay.
anyone else, and then they rented it to someone else. Is that legal?
Well, I think that we may need to have some kind of labor and business law clerk afterwards, like a little clinic about that, because some of these things are above my pay grade. I'm just a lowly minister. I don't have a JD. But
You
yes.
should not throw pizza at your dog. No, not that. At your staff. No, Leo. You should throw you shouldn't waste pizza.
You shouldn't waste pizza. Okay, a valuable lesson. Here's another one. So, about 100 years ago in Kentucky, there were a lot of coal mines. There are still a lot of coal mines in Kentucky today, actually. But coal mining, if you've never done it, is not an easy job. It's a lot of heavy work. It's hard on your body. You spend a lot of time underground, which most people don't enjoy, and it can be dangerous. And so the people who were mining coal in Kentucky went on strike, trying to get better wages, more safety, more security, just generally have their lives be a little bit better than the lives that they were being able to lead with the jobs that they were doing for the people that they were making very, very rich. And they went on strike, and the people they were making very rich didn't like that they were on strike because they were making less money because they weren't getting any coal out of the ground. And so, not only did they try to threaten and hurt the people who were on strike, all those coal miners had families. And they threatened some of their families as well. It was a very dangerous situation. And one of the people in one of those families, so not a coal miner, but someone who was related to a coal miner, wrote a song. That song is called, "Which Side Are You On?" And if you've never heard of it before, ask your grandparents to get out their Pete Seeger records. It's on one of them, I guarantee. So the lesson I want to share with you today is about how the union, right, the power of people to work together doesn't just impact the lives of the people in the union, it impacts the lives of the people, everyone connected to those people. Because when they get better work, when they get better pay, when they get safer conditions, the families, the other people in their community, they benefit as well. I thank you so much for your patience and for your deep engagement. And now we are going to sing you out to go. One last thing from Cleo. Yes.
Something about pizza? No.
All right. When you think of it, see me after this. Yes?
I'm part Australian and I'm part Polish.
Okay.
I know how to speak some German. I know how to speak Polish a little.
I suggest trading German and Polish words on the playground after this. Let's sing. Thank you.
Oh, you can make the world so bright, and you can turn the day from night, and share your gifts and spread your light, and learn what you know.
So this next little bit is a great opportunity to talk about why we sing the songs that we sing, why the songs that we have in our hymnals are there in the first place. Some of them were written by Unitarians or Universalists or Unitarian Universalists. Some of them express specific ideas about theology or philosophy that we've decided are really important. We want to have some sort of poetry that we can share together, which is what a song is, that we can engage in about it. And some of the hymns, some of the songs that we have in our hymnals, in our larger canon of music as Unitarian Universalists, one of the reasons that those hymns are in there is in order to have a sort of an artifact of a time and a place, to keep a hold of something that is important in our history or the larger history of which we are a part, to hold on to. So this next song that we're going to sing together is such an artifact. It's another one of these labor songs, like I was trying to talk to the kids about. This one comes from the year 1912 and the Lawrence, Massachusetts garment workers strike. The women and girls, because they were almost all women and girls who worked in those factories, went on strike in protest of extremely, extremely low and shrinking pay and dangerous labor conditions. The people who ran those factories were so dependent on the labor of children that when the striking families tried to send their kids to family in other states or other places, like you would do if you were out of work and didn't have any income and maybe needed to make sure that your children had a safe place to sleep and a regular amount of food, right? When they tried to send their children away to some place where they would be safe temporarily during the strike, the factory owners tried to stop them because they thought they were stealing their workers. That's how they saw the children in those families, as sources of income. Their protest rose, their hue and cry rose up, as it says in the Bible. It rose so high that it led to hearings in Washington, D.C. that were championed by the First Lady at the time. That First Lady was the wife of William Howard Taft, whom you might not know, is the last, so far, of the Unitarian presidents of the United States. This song commemorates that strike. It commemorates specifically the role of women and the leadership of women in that strike, which is why we are going to sing together some lines that we probably wouldn't sing together if it weren't for the fact that it's an artifact of a very important time and place. Please rise in all the ways that we do and join me in singing As We Come Marching, Marching, number 109, Silver and Gray Hymn.
As we come marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 workshops gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we come marching, marching, we battle too for man,
Thank you for singing with me. This time I want to invite you into the giving and receiving of today's offering, where we give freely and generously to this offering which supports the ongoing work of this community. You'll see on the screen that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org. You'll find our text to give information there as well. In addition, there are baskets at the exits to this room in which you can place cash or checks. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together. Well, in honor of its being Labor Day weekend, I want to begin with a modern parable of sorts, one that I have encountered in a variety of forms and sources but cannot attribute to a single original author. It goes something like this. Once upon a time, there was a businessman who happened to be out on the beach one day, and there he met a fisherman who was resting at his labors, lying at ease in the afternoon sun. Now, the businessman asked the fisherman why he wasn't out in his boat, trolling the sea, bringing in fish to sell and make a living from. And the fisherman smiled and explained that he had already been out for the day. He set out to sea as he did every morning. He brought in a fine catch, as he did every day. He sold it for a fair price, just as he did each time. And now he was resting a bit, enjoying the sunshine. Luck and skill together had made him a successful fisherman, able to meet all of his and his family's needs with a few hours of strenuous labor each morning. In a little while, he would go collect his children from their school, and they'd set out into town together to spend time with family and neighbors. He hoped to fit in a few games of checkers that day. That night after dinner, he'd play his guitar and sing some old songs and go to sleep about the same time that the moon went down. Now, once he heard how the fisherman spent his every day, the businessman felt a responsibility to educate his new friend. If you are making enough money to raise a family on just by fishing for a few hours each morning, then you are leaving money on the table, my good man. Think of how much more you could make if you stayed out on the water until supper time. And with that extra revenue, you could invest in a bigger boat with a larger net. And with that, you could hire an assistant or two. And one day, another boat and a whole extra crew. By the time you retired, in 25 years or 30, you could have a whole fishing fleet and be the wealthiest man on this beach. The fisherman thought about this idea and asked, "What good would it do me to be the wealthiest man on this beach?" "Why, my friend," the businessman said, "if you were the wealthiest man on this beach, you could do whatever you liked and spend the rest of your days doing just what you pleased." "But can't you see," asked the fisherman, "that I already am?" This holiday weekend in America is an occasion for cookouts, for lamenting the semi-official end to the summer vacation window, and for reflecting on our own relationship to labor and to everyone who works, or at least needs to work in order to live. For some of us, that's who we are now. For some of us, that's who we were earlier in life. For some of us, that's who we may be in the future. And for some few of us, that might never have been or ever be who we are. But whether or not we are working people, we are still called to be allies to working people. And as we come to the end of a summer in which several prominent national unions in entertainment, transport, manufacturing, and other sectors have taken or come to the brink of taking strike action, it seems good to consider some of the theological and philosophical grounding for being allies to labor. A friend of mine once told me that she felt everyone ought to spend at least a few months waiting tables at some point in their lives. For many people in the world, providing food and hospitality to strangers is a primary career rather than a temporary job. But for folks who are going to do just about anything else with their lives, this friend of mine, who had worked in restaurants before and as a theater major might well have anticipated doing so again in the future, felt strongly that they ought to get a little bit of the experience. If only, she said, so that they might learn to appreciate the profession. Perhaps then the world would have fewer people who show up at 10 minutes to closing, order off menu, and leave a 5% tip. If everyone had to wait tables at least once in their life, folks might show a little gratitude to the people who bring them their food. My colleague, Meg Barnhouse, also spent a while serving food to strangers, playing out what she calls the ancient categories of the hungry one and the one who brings nourishment from an unseen source. She wrote about the lesson of that experience and how they inform her ministry under the title, Waitressing in the Sacred Kitchens. The job taught her how to rush around with her hands full, thinking about 6 things at the same time. It taught her the lesson that people are not at their best when they're hungry. It taught her the proper response for managing a world of requests and demands, only some of which she or anyone can meet. Sorry, hun, that's not my table. I'm grateful to Reverend Barnhouse for sharing her spiritual insights, perhaps most of all because despite my friend's advice, I still never have worked as a waiter. I can't say that I never will. There is still time for that, I suppose. But right now, I have to be grateful for the folks who do that work without the benefit of ever having been in their role. This is something that all of us must do. Each of us benefits each day from the work of millions and millions of people we do not know, only a tiny percentage of which we may ever meet. People whose labors make our food and our clothes, whose hard work in years past built cities and towns for us to live in, and people who by their contributions in eras gone by built the institutions that shape and give meaning to our lives. All of this is in addition to the people we actually see and know, to the friends and family whose love and support and own hard work has given us life, sustained us, and permitted us to reach this season. Which is still to say nothing of the gifts of the earth itself, without which there could be no food, no clothes, no cities and towns, no us. It says nothing of the stars in their places and the sun around which we spin. There is no end to the list of reasons for gratitude. If you are sitting right now in the restaurant of the universe, sopping up sunset soup with the crust of a birthday, washing it down with the uncomplicated love of a family pet, and drying your lips on a napkin made of songs, if you were sitting there at the banquet table and the check came, how on earth would you pay it? There has never been a currency minted which could pay for the wonder of living, for all that we owe to the world and to each other. Your money's no good here. So when that check shows up, what ought you to do? Now, if Lucille Ball and an assortment of other slapstick comedians are to be believed, the standard solution for having eaten a meal but being unable to pay for it is simple. They put you to work in the kitchen washing dishes. Dishes are a chore, often neglected, frequently maligned. They are work that we all need done, but society shows little appreciation for the doing of. They are just the sort of work on which the world depends. You see, I do not have any experience as a waiter, but I have a great deal of experience as a dishwasher. So I will tell you that the sink can be as much a source of meaning as a sacred shrine, where the water flows over the hands as it does and has over countless others, and the work of feeding a person, a household, community, sees the final stage of an ongoing cycle. And it is a sure sign of gratitude when one has enjoyed a fine meal to thank the cook by washing the dishes. Now, the universe is not a restaurant, precisely. There is not an itemized bill that arrives at the table as we each approach the end of the meal of existence. But there are always dishes to be done. As we cultivate a gratitude for what we have, whatever that might be, there ought to come with it an appreciation for why we have it. And the answer, in an overwhelming number of cases, is other people. Whatsoever material comforts or pleasures or basic necessities we might enjoy, they all hinge on the work of others. And it would be a betrayal of our own gratitude not to support those others upon whose work we depend in their basic rights as working people, in seeking a world in which all those who labor may do so with dignity, security, and safety, may be paid fairly and adequately for their toil and their time, may have the right to organize themselves as they choose, to bargain collectively with their employers, and, when they find it necessary, to strike. But besides supporting the rights, in this case the labor rights, of others out of gratitude, there is another reason to be in solidarity with working people of every stripe. This is the simple fact that our own interests are bound together. There's a collective well-being in which we all partake and upon which we all depend. This might be easiest to appreciate in the inverse, that of the dangers and the struggles that we all face together. For today, we live in what farmer and poet Wendell Berry calls a total economy. This is how he explains the term. A total economy is one in which everything, life forms, for instance, or the right to pollute, is private property and has a price and is for sale. In a total economy, significant and sometimes critical choices that once belonged to individuals or communities become the property of corporations. A total economy is an unrestrained taking of profits from the disintegration of nations, communities, households, landscapes, and ecosystems. It licenses symbolic or artificial wealth to grow by means of the destruction of the real wealth of all the world. The shared resources of our world, the common wealth that rightly cannot be said to belong more to any one of us than to any others of us, get appropriated and transformed into things that a few people own and most folks do not. The English word economy can be traced back to a Greek word meaning household management. So we are managing our household, the collective household of all people and things on this earth, in a manner that makes a few of us rich and many of us poor, that is built on a pattern requiring some sort of self-inflicted disaster every few decades. All the while, everything that is not already a commodity must either be refined into one or destroyed by accident or design. And this most assuredly includes every component part of the earth itself, from its rivers to its mountains to the people who dwell upon it. This may be a frightful or demoralizing thing to linger on, but appreciating it in its woeful reality helps us to appreciate the reverse, which we began with. What poet Langston Hughes points toward in this passage from his work, Freedom's Plow. First in the heart is the dream. Then the mind starts seeking a way. Eyes look out on the world, on the great wooded world, on the rich soil of the world, on the rivers of the world. The eyes see their materials for building, see the difficulties too, the obstacles. The mind seeks a way to overcome these obstacles. The hand seeks tools to cut the wood, to till the soil, and harness the power of the waters. Then the hand seeks other hands to help, a community of hands to help. Thus, the dream becomes no one's dream alone, but a community dream. Not my dream alone, but our dream. Not my world alone, but your world and my world, belonging to all the hands who build. There is a sense of difference and separation between a knowledge worker and a service worker, between a migrant who barely subsists on wages from grueling physical labor in the fields and a person who works from home in front of a computer. But all of that is an illusion. The world belongs to all the hands who build, and sharing something so precious as the world in common should rightly unite us and make us determined to support and defend each other's rights. In the parable I began with of the businessman and the fisherman, It is the second who seems to have everything figured out, while the first looks rather foolish. Most wisdom stories counsel humility in one way or another, and we could, most of us, do with being at least a little more humble in proportion to the power that each of us possesses. But also, like most parables, the state of being described in it is not so much a real as an imagined one. The prospect of making a happy and secure life for oneself through work, but not so much of it that it consumes one's whole, entire daily existence, is not the lived reality for most people. Towards the middle of the last century, it was plausible for a sizable chunk of the American public, not all by any means, but still a goodly number, as legal protections on workers have fallen away in the decades since, and mechanisms for collective bargaining have weakened, the dream of a healthy, sustainable, working life for everyone who does work has moved further and further away. So on this Labor Day, I invite us each to reflect. What is it you are grateful for? And what in the privilege of being alive moves your heart to appreciate that privilege? Who do you share your lot in life with by dint of sharing the same economy and the same terrestrial home? And what works of solidarity ought our answers to the preceding questions to move us to undertake? Linda, thank you. Just a small personal note, that's tune, Fanfare for the Common Man, is the semi-official tune of my home congregation in Rochester, New York. I grew up hearing it at the beginning of the service every Sunday as a child. I always love hearing it. Each week we gather, carrying with us the joys and sorrows of our recent days. We share these here knowing that they are held in love and support. One of us asks that we light a candle of grief for a loved one who was lost to suicide this past month. We send our care for all those in mourning and our fervent wish that those in crisis and all those struggling for the will to live should receive the care and support they so dearly need. And Mary Kessler asks that we light a candle of gratitude and continued healing. She gives thanks for the prayers and caring thoughts sent to her brother-in-law, Andy Combs, as he has recovered from multiple brain surgeries this past month. We celebrate with her that his condition is much improved. And she also asks that we send our thoughts and prayers to her sister, Cindy, Andy's wife, as she tries to hold the responsibilities of work together with the natural yearning to be alongside her ailing spouse. And we light one candle to acknowledge all those cares, deeply felt, which remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. Amen.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all we rest in. And now let's rise in body and in spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for fears, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days
Go out now with hands and hearts and minds renewed to the world that is waiting for you. Go out to that world to bring your gentle touch to those in pain. Go out to feed and house those in need. Go out to speak truth to those with power. Go out with courage to do the work which calls you. Go out now with your passion and faith to change the world. Blessed be. Go in peace, and please be at rest for the postman.
I don't know if fanfare for the common man is that good or if we just played it really perfect. That was fanfare for the common man. I mean, you're always good at everything, but yeah. If only we could get a full brass quintet in here and a few timpani.
I saw a tip, like evangelical megachurch style place, and they had taken grand piano